Hey everyone, you're being watched. In the Forgotten Ruins dungeon, there are knights that line the walls. There's a chance when walking past them they'll turn their heads and stare at you. In a similar way, on the Sanctum of Wrath, the stone statues surrounding the base of the temple will turn to look at you each time you look away, only moving when your eyes are averted. That's not all that's watching you though. Many characters in the realm are aware of your presence. They'll turn to face you in the lobby, and even sometimes speak to you directly. They know you're there. The entity watches you in-game too, through its crows, out from the killer's eyes, and more intensely with its presence in the basement, which is the entity's heart within the trials. There are even eyes watching from the most unexpected places. Look into Krampus's basket, and you just might find a set of eyes peering out. Another pair of eyes you may have not seen are out in the fog in the lobby screen. You'll have to squint your eyes a bit for this one, as it only becomes clear that way. If you look at around this area here, between the trees, you'll occasionally see a figure standing with yellow eyes. Becoming a killer of the entity's realm is not an easy process. In the lore, we learn of a character named Alex, who is captured by the entity. The entity then attempts to make him a killer through various methods, such as strapping him to a table and striking him repeatedly with lightning, with every monster Alex had dreamt of surrounding him in glass cages. This is the kind of thing the entity does to make its killers. The entity further takes its bonds very seriously. When you swear an oath to serve it, you're going to serve it. On Spirit we can see this visually, with the entity's markings found scratched across her entire body, the entity whispering to Rin and engraving her with its markings. The entity as a creature itself also seems to just attack the killers sometimes. Characters like Bubba, for example, have mentions of the claws of the entity directly striking at him. Many of the killers, in order to obey the entity, may well have been survivors at one point too. Billy possibly could have been, with the toolbox making a subtle hint that he was the previous owner. And Trapper, of course, is pierced with hooks, something that the survivors typically have happen to them. The realm is mysterious, but its secrets are recorded. Characters in the realm have unique methods of doing this though. Secrets are not recorded on paper, but instead living beings. We can see this physically on Vittorio, and we can see the product of how this information is carried on after the person's death in the map. Many survivors have visible scars from prior near-death experiences, or in some case, experiences that should have caused their deaths, had the entity not taken them. They are quite literally scarred with the things that killed them, which must be pretty daunting. Ever had the odd feeling that Maurice is calling you to come over and pet him? Something compels you. Well, it's because Maurice actually has special powers and is capable of speaking to people with his mind. Has he ever done this to you? Maurice's owner, the clown, has a disturbing residence, a caravan, where inside we can see what seems to be newspaper articles making reference to other killers of the realm, as if he was studying them. Ghostface, in a similar way in his own lore, seems to look up to the Trapper and study him also, seeming to idolize him. The killers know about each other, and they study each other prior to the realm. What's sort of disturbing about the realm as a whole though, and the setting of DBD in an omniverse, is that some characters knew each other as fictional before they met inside of the realm. Min wears a Jill cosplay, despite the real Jill being there in the realm with her. That's gotta be a pretty scary realization. Everything you think is possible could well be out there. Jill as a character has a pretty creepy fact. After being infected with the T-virus by Nemesis and later cured by Carlos, her aging becomes greatly slowed, meaning years later she looks exactly the same. What's creepier though is the effects of the Blighted Serum. For one, it's capable of creating life, not only through resurrection, but also it can seemingly spawn separate consciousnesses inside of a single being. For Nemesis we can see a second eye form, a similar mutation to Birkin, which causes him to split between his peaceful and violent states. On the Blight himself we can see faces in many of the skins, these likely coming from the component of the serum, the soul chemical, likely the souls of survivors, which then manifest on the very skin of Blight, trying to break free. Another character who experimented on themselves was Hag, who scratched one of the hex symbols into her own head, allowing her greater ability but twisting her body into this. Blight experimented on himself fairly recently by inducing a squid-like creature he found within a corpse from the sea. This creature then symbiotically attached to him and connected with him, empowering and transforming him, sort of like a weird squid blight venom. Nurse is interesting as she can seemingly see despite her eyes always being covered. This seems to be a product of her being transformed by the entity. It's unclear how, but I sort of imagine it might look a bit like Daredevil vision. The entity has allowed her to see without seeing, maybe something to do with the spirit world, which is what she enters when she blinks. Bubba's masks are all made out of his victims, and at one point in the realm he even had masks of the original 4 survivors if he sacrificed them enough times. These were removed for good reason though. Myers gets a different reward for his persistent service, with his blade seeming to hold the souls of slain survivors within the pumping veins seen across the blade. Pretty disturbing, and this could well be the case for all of these blades. The pulsing you see within the veins is the survivors trapped inside. This is something the entity is more widely capable of, keeping things alive in parts. Take iridescent flesh for example, where it appears the person it came from is still alive within it despite it being separated from them. On the map Springwood we can see paintings of Nancy Holbrook on the walls, a creepy finding with this being Freddy's obsession, likely because this realm is taken and constructed from his mind and thoughts, so his obsession manifests on the walls. In Freddy's original power you could also see Nancy's face within his hand when he pulled someone into the dream world, suggesting before he attacked Quentin, he may have actually captured or killed her. On Midwich there's a secret room that can be accessed by repairing certain generators. In this room is a creepy cult-like vibe, and also a chest. Also on Midwich, when the endgame collapse starts, the clock in the center of the map will start going crazy and spinning erratically. This may be the entity's presence, as in Jake's tome lore, his compass also becomes erratic just before he is taken into the realm. The entity seems to mess with both time and space. Its presence disrupts the area around you. Pretty freaky. On Springwood you can find Freddy's secret crawlspace room where he took his victims to and kept many of his disturbing photos. In a similar way, Huntress's space where she kept the girls she stole is visible within her cabin, a disturbing look into what life was like for them. There's a very creepily written and confusing review of Mount Ormond Resort, written on a leaflet you could find on a table. It could very well be a weird construction of various memories and thoughts of Ormond from those brought into the fog. In Dead Dog Saloon, the piano plays itself. Pretty creepy. In the back room of Dead Dog, we can find Myers' knife pinned into a table, suggesting out of the trials, Myers may go in between realms and threaten other killers. The lore behind Dead Dog is even more disturbing though, with there being a large gang altercation between Deathslingers and another gang. The bodies found around the map are the aftermath of that massacre. Plague is missing a toe. She cut it off as an offering to try and save one of her people. She then, as you do, makes it into an amulet which she wears around her neck. The hag's captors were pretty terrible people. For one, they ate other people. The grandma of the village even had a cookbook, specifically for recipes surrounding this, which is more than disturbing. Whilst traversing the fog, Jake seems to encounter a xenomorph, which seems to implant another xenomorph into him, with his chest bursting open as he feels something crawling from within. This could also be the spiders though from Terra Arachna. We can talk about that a bit later. Nia's prestige cosmetics have very strange and creepy flavor text. They're very strangely worded and written and almost poetic in some ways, but extremely creepy. On Autohaven you can find various parts of Azeroth's victims within the crushed cubes. On Midwich, crying can be heard from one of the bathroom stalls. There's also a locker that flaps open and shut and leaks out blood. On Myers there's a bloody handprint on his back, likely from where he previously moried someone, with survivors shown to hit the same place on his back each time. Bill has a scratch on his jacket, which is more than likely from an attack prior to the events of Left 4 Dead, from a witch, as he seems to know what witches are, where the other characters do not. The Void is a mysterious place, and lots of terrible things are down there, such as large eyes with lots of tentacles. Characters describe it as a never-ending wasteland of realms tossed aside by the entity. The weird growth in Macmillan is actually a way into it too, which is a bit scary to think about that it's so close, right in the trials here with us. It actually opened as a result of the Observer deciding to enter the Void, in hopes of finding a way out of the realm, so that's what that terrifying mass is on top of the water tower. The realm as a whole soul is very old, with the entity running trials with ancient Greeks and Romans, one of them even being Romulus, founder of Rome. The entity, after all, is capable of traversing time and space at will, and so can take you whenever, wherever. Tiffany is seemingly bound to Chucky's soul, and is not actually herself, but instead Chucky. This is why in-game she is carried around by Chucky's ghost and not her own. In a similar way, Victor of the twins seemingly has a shared soul with Charlotte, with him dying prior to the realm. It's likely also the two bards are also part of the same soul, with them being the same selectable character in the lobby. When they were taken in, they seem to have been merged into one almost. The entity's true form is something that has persistently evaded us. It seems like its true form is simply a fog. We see a potential version of its true form in the Casting of Frank Stone trailer, with this strange skeletal spider-like being. There's a world in the Omniverse which the entity attacks with massive spiders. If the spiders bite you, you get infected and they burst out of you. In this world, Full City, Nia's town, is attacked. An alternate version of Nia gets killed, along with her friend Casey and some others. The entity creates apocalypses like this a lot. This is just one of the more horrifying ones. The skulls on totems within trials are more than likely the result of killers using Moris, with a Memento Mori charm hanging from the totems. Where the rest of the survivor goes after the Mori could be explained with the survivor pudding offering. Blight tagged many of the killers of the realm, injecting them with his blighted serum and transforming them. One thing that is unclear though is his tags. Each killer was given a unique number and alchemical symbol. What these numbers mean though is unclear. What is Blight up to? There's another Oni in the realm from another universe. This Oni wears green and gold armor and is far scarier than the one in game. This Oni wipes out many samurai imposters, but further slays whole clans such as the Red Crown clan. The last member of this clan, Saku, enters the fog to kill this Oni, but each time she does, he simply reappears and reforms from the fog. In the Forgotten Ruins map, you can find a beholder locked in the basement that will jump out if you get close, a large eye-like creature with many tentacles coming out of it. Something very similar actually to what was seen in The Void. Did you buy the Sadako DLC? Well, it's already too late. 7 days after buying the DLC, you'll have a secret video play when the game launches with a DVD recreation of the cursed tape. It's pretty creepy. When equipping the Eye of Vecna as a survivor, the survivor will actually replace it with their own eye. Just stuffing it in there is pretty crazy. In Dracula's prestige skin, his eyes turn a blood red. From the cosmetic description, it appears as a consequence of centuries in the realm of killing survivors. All of their blood literally turning his eyes red. On Shelterwoods, you can find some interesting things inside of Skull Merchant's fridge. Come over to the mannequins outside and you'll see where some of these might have gone. A pretty messed up practice range. You can also find one of Skull Merchant's unreleased prototypes on the table, a grisly looking drill affixed to the arm. Pretty extreme and quite disturbing. There's also another on a different table with a long curved blade, tools of torment, some might say. On the game you can find the aftermath of Saw in the bathroom, only in this version, and from Amanda's own head, both participants end up dead. Inside the freezer on the game you can find a frozen woman. This is Danica from Saw 3, and her fate is pretty brutal. Over on Planet Devaka we can find some incredibly creepy skeletal bird-like creatures that circle the skies. What these are, no idea, but they are mildly terrifying. The presence of the Cenobite referencing add-ons suggests the entity may have defeated the other Cenobites at some point. Whilst Pinhead and Chatterer are present in the realm, all that is taken from them is a tooth and a pin. For Butterball and the female Cenobite, we can see a cracked lens, a likely sign he was killed, and the impaling wire of the female Cenobite, suggesting a similar fate. Oni did a lot of bad stuff on his rampage across Japan, but he's noted to have a thing for removing things he doesn't believe people to be worthy of, such as a lion tattoo, top knot, and a face. A number of things will fall out of Dredge whilst in the lobby. Hands will grab out, Maurice will fall out, but also these weird large claws or pincers or something will appear. No idea what these are even from, but it ain't right. Vecna keeps an absurd amount of what looks to be lambs in jars. The Blight's curse cat outfit appears to not actually be Talbot himself, but instead a cat who ingested the serum, transforming it into a blighted monstrosity. Every survivor in the realm is slowly losing their minds. Each trial they get dimmer and dimmer, and the observer even sees the outcome of this a few times. Despite the overwhelming power of many of the characters in the realm, such as Dracula, Vecna, Pyramid Head, and more, none are capable of defeating or rivaling the entity's power, with it capable of molding them to its will, and even directly applying nerfs onto them all. The world of Rainbow Six Siege is one of the realms destroyed and consumed by the entity, with some of its operators present and others dead. The state of these operators is also suggested through some of the cosmetics. Something bad happened to Blitz. Not only this, but more formidable worlds such as Attack on Titan, including its titans, are within the entity. All of these likely in the Void currently. The entity consumes all. Spirit will inflict the same wounds her father did to her when enacting her Mori onto survivors. Oni will straight up pull a tongue out when he does his Mori, a callback to his lore when he also pulls out a tongue for being named Oni Yamaoka by a lord. Being Mori'd by Pinhead or Dredge is worse though. Pinhead's portal likely leads to the labyrinth, or hell essentially, and whatever is inside of Dredge is pretty unknown, but it's a whole realm in there in its own right, where even more suffering is inevitable. The blood points in game are quite literally made of the blood of prior survivors in the trials. The realm is noted as a cycle of life and death, and so the death feeds into life, and the life into death, eternally. The most advanced Earth in the Omniverse is Terra Primus, the Observer's homeworld, and the closest characters to destroying the entity. Despite this, they've been wiped out by it, suggesting there really is no hope. Yay! What's even more fun though is that the Observer suggests that even if something could defeat the entity, it wouldn't matter, because everything within it, and maybe even on an omniversal scale, would go down with it. So all those lost realms, all those lost characters, likely aren't getting out of this. Legion are one of the more innocent appearing characters, but they actually do a lot of terrible stuff in their lore, including causing a large traffic accident after moving some road signs. Huntress appears to have great supernatural ability even prior to entering the realm, with her capable of withstanding the direct flames of a flamethrower. This is likely because she's actually a werelk, as we discover later on. Billy seems to have a fairly similar inhuman resistance, with him surviving the explosions from a multitude of fireworks and what seems to be gasoline. Sable has the same tattoo on her leg that was present on the hand of Pam, Lisa's friend, who was killed after its usage. Pretty creepy. After being approached by the unknown, Olivia, a character investigating it, begins to hear dozens of voices talking to her and calling her with promises of the unknown. It's an incredibly unsettling ending to the lore, and we don't know what exactly happens to this Olivia. It could have been the entity, as it does hold grudges. Throughout the multiverse, paranormal investigators Hattie and Jordan are taken multiple times across many universes. How many are in the realm is unclear, but the entity seems to target them, which has got to be terrifying. Despite the scale of this thing, it actively targets individuals. In a similar way, Carl, a simple cashier, seems to be targeted multiple times across the Omniverse, being killed by both Ghostface but also the Legion. This Billy skin is made of quite a disturbing material, likely taken from his massacre of Coldwind Farm. With age, Hag begins to petrify, and the only way she can keep herself from becoming stone is by consuming blood from something living, which would explain her Mori in the realm, and how she drips blood into her mouth after each hit. Hux's original form looked really terrifying, being a very humanoid looking robot with red eyes. I mean, just picture that thing chasing you down. Within the Garden of Joy main building, you can hear the cries from the community members who died there, consumed by the dredge. You'll also notice inside that the furniture is upside down and on the ceiling, likely a phenomenon caused by the Garden of Joy house being situated within an overlap, a crossing between our world and the entities. Trix the Mad Designer seems to be growing in power each year and takes over each anniversary, seemingly not by the entity's will or liking. She's able to avoid it by hiding away in a subrealm inaccessible to the entity. She's quite powerful too, able to create whole entire creatures herself, such as the Jabberwock. Unlike more trusted characters like Vigo, we don't really know what Trix is up to, and it could be something quite bad. The mystery of Benedict Baker is a confusing one, clown. One day he was at the campfire, but then ever since the release of the clown he's disappeared, gone from the campfire and gone from the lore. His fate, the void maybe, or perhaps a traveller of the fog. Whatever the case, his disappearance is unsettling. I mean, imagine if one of the survivors one day just straight up disappeared. Like you just couldn't play them anymore, and you were never told why. That's how the survivors must be feeling. On Charlotte's eternal anguish skin, you can see the unsettling coffin of Victor that she keeps tied to her back, a disturbing reality of Victor's young death. Ghostface's silver mask was one he made specifically so that the victim would see their own expression of fear before he finished them. Unlike the other killers, Wesker actually opted to inject himself with the blighted serum, likely a result of his constant desire to want to evolve to be a greater being. Characters who traverse the fog often become transformed by it. Clown, for example, is said to be reshaped by the myths of the Greek god Hades, likely whilst traversing an abandoned ancient Greek realm. The fact you could just be wandering through this strange fog one day and your body literally begins to physically change is incredibly disturbing in my opinion. Music seems to also have a similar effect. When the killers hear seemingly both Iron Maiden or Slipknot, they physically begin to transform as a result of the music, as its effect on them is manifesting on them physically seemingly, which is mildly terrifying. This is because much of the realm is built on thought though, so something entering the character's mind could well influence how they are physically presented. In the Serum Vial add-on for Unknown, we learn that its DNA could not be identified. Whatever Unknown is, it's either alien, or I think likely originating from the Entity's realm. But realistically, no one knows what this thing is. In Spirit's Awakened Origin outfit, we see the full unleashed potential of her Yamaoka blood. With it, we see a much darker spirit with red eyes and armor. A bad timeline spirit, as it were. This could well have been the product of her meeting the Oni, her much more violent ancestors, which similar to those other skins could have physically altered her. In-game there are newspapers titled Behavior Times scattered around, suggesting the existence of behavior within the realm itself. The entity is aware of their existence. It's likely aware that in one universe, its realm is a game. The entity is aware of their existence and of all of ours, so what now? I hope you enjoyed, thanks for watching, and goodbye.